One expected attribute of an onboarding program is it introduces you to the company and the values of the company. The values of the company is an essential part of the company. And, if we're not introducing new hires to that, I mean, what are we doing? Some good ways to do it, not. So let's just take an example. I went to ChatGPT and I asked it, give me 5 example company values. So we're probably dealing with kind of generic values, but you know what? That's most of the time anyway. All right, and it gives us these 5 here that we see. Relentless innovation, empowered collaboration, customer-centric excellence, integrity above all, and sustainability for tomorrow. And these, at least 2, 3, and 4, usually there's some flavor in most company values hit something like that. Working together, we care about customers, and high integrity, don't lie, and such. And then there's other ones as well. Now, okay, onboarding program. What are you supposed to be doing with this? We want to take new employees and introduce them to the values of the company and make the case that these really exist here, and not just have the new hires memorize the values or be familiar with the values, but actually believe, and we make an authentic case, a worthy case that they should believe that this is how we work here. To do that, you can't just put it on a wall and talk through it. You can't just say like, this is it, okay, go out there. That's like, at least you let them know there was values level, but it's not very good. The principle here, people will only believe it if there is evidence for it. And you just saying that these are so is not evidence enough. All right, so what could be evidence? So for somebody to believe it, the evidence could come from them. So maybe the lowest, easiest, quickest way that has some benefit is to ask them what evidence they've already collected that these values exist. Now, they're just started, but they went through an interview process. They've researched the company. They've interacted with people in the company. They have a feel for how they were treated through the interview process. So did integrity above all exist in their interview process? Feel like collaboration was present between the interviewers and between them and the interviewers? Maybe not all the values, but some of the values might already have evidence. And if you ask the new hires, like, hey, what have you seen so far? They might have some things to tell you that cue that these things exist. Okay, so now you're directing their attention to the evidence they already have that these are these live in the company. All right, that'll only get you so far, of course, because there's some values on here that they have no evidence for yet, or just that they need more. All right, so what can you do? The next level is tell stories. So each one of these should probably have a story, some story of how it came to be. Humans remember stuff through stories, and all the values you have for your company probably are there for some reason. There's some story for how that value got there. A lot of companies, one of their values is just something like really off the wall. You're like, what the heck is that? The phrasing is weird. And it's usually related to some very distinctive story from the company. Telling those stories is useful. But the story themselves is not evidence that that value lives in the company. Maybe it's evidence that it lived at least once in the company and that we remember it, and that it's important to the executives, or at least they talk about it, but it's not yet convincing evidence. Okay, you usually need to now have the new hires experience something to do with these. So let's jump down to customer-centric excellence, number 3 here. Our customers are the heart of everything we do. We strive to exceed their expectations by delivering exceptional products, services, and experiences. All right, so that is a completely generic value, and many companies have something like that. Now, the thing is that even companies that are above and beyond customer-centric, their value is going to sound generic, probably. It's not going to sound written down, differentiated from any other company's customer-centric value. So in onboarding, we need to show them, make the case that here, how is the way we live it here different from how you would expect some generic company to do it out there? Some ideas for this. You could interview a customer during onboarding. You could send each of the new hires along with a product manager as they interview a customer about the product. So it's really it's spending the time with a new hire and showing them like, no, it really matters. We go out and we talk to the customers. You're going to see it. They have a very lived experience interacting with customers in a way that is true to your company. It's undeniable in their memory that really happened, and they really believe, oh, okay, this is a signal of how we are customer-centric here. Could be interviewing somebody from the company. Like you could have an employee come in and be like, okay, so we say relentless innovation is a value here. Why are we different? how do we innovate differently here than other companies, other peer groups do? And you could have a software developer or somebody else who's in, the innovation side of the business come in and like tell the new hires, like, let me tell you, this is how it's different here. We move about 3 times as fast, or the more errors are tolerated, but when we ship it, we want it to be complete. We try not to say no when we're creating brainstorm. We have a process for creating new ideas. How is innovation done differently here? And you're hearing it from somebody who's actually been through it for a few years and can compare it to other competitors in the space. Sustainability for tomorrow. So this is one that could be easy to say, like, oh yeah, we're sustainable, but where usually this is put in the place of, or put there to say, we are willing to make certain sacrifices that don't help our bottom line, but we're going to do it because we think it's right. It's a sustainable thing to do. Maybe. Or maybe you live that in a way like sustainability is important because we want to be as efficient as possible and save the company money so that we have as much runway as possible. That's another way to live sustainably. It's important to distinguish which one of those it is for you. Sustainability can mean many different things to many different people. And just saying sustainability for tomorrow people will interpret that in many different ways. So you need to show this is what we mean by sustainable here and what it is we value. And then lastly, I would close with the point of company values. One of the most powerful things company values give you is the ability to make a decision when it's hard to make a decision. When the stakes are high, it's vague if we should do A or B. We're not sure which one we should do. We have good reasons to do both. Well, that's when you go back to your values and you look at your values and you look at the decision and you're like, okay, if we're going to be consistent with our values, we're going to choose B. That bringing up those decision points with the new hires, or at least underlining, like, look, you're going to have tough decisions. We've hired you because you're smart people who are going to be making independent choices on behalf of our company. When it comes down to it and it's difficult, we want you to look at these values and make the decision that aligns with these. Here are some examples of when that's been done by other people in the company in the past. We trust you to do it for us in the future. So beyond just evidence that these values exist in the company, you need to give people relevance. Like, why is it relevant to their job that these values exist? And that's one of the most important ones right there. It's like, we expect you to live by these and to make decisions with these in mind, and we hope that it's going to help you make decisions on behalf of our company. Okay, so that gives a quick idea of how to take values and put it in an onboarding program so that the new hires get it and can apply it. I'm going to end with just a couple logistics about this. One thing that doesn't work is if you have an onboarding program and within an hour you go through all of these and you just have a session where you're just doing values. That's too much too fast. You should probably spread it out over a week. Maybe like if you have a 3-day long program, you do 2 values a day or something, and then you sum it up. And you're often calling back to values you did in previous days. Start out with some of the more obvious ones, or the ones that are most salient for the personality of your company is the ones you would start with. You don't necessarily need to do them in order of whatever order they're put in at your company. And you're spreading them out and you're referencing them multiple times throughout the onboarding journey with the new hire. Just doing it once really fast, however good and perfect your stories are, is just not going to stick with people. They need to be reminded over time. One of the signals people use to know that something is important is that they hear about it frequently over time. So you want to be doing that with the values as well.